You know that moment when the air around the flame starts to tremble? That's exactly what I want to capture today. That subtle, alive, a little bit magical distortion. Now I'm trying a new, more natural format. No rush, just sharing the process. We'll keep bringing our stylized fire to life. Actually, I spent almost a half of a day just finding the perfect spot for it and turning the screen and lightning and all of this stuff, but finally it feels alive. And let's continue from here. I hope you will enjoy. Alright, let's jump into Unity. Here is how our little fire looks now. I placed it inside the environment I got from the asset store, just to give it some context and atmosphere. Here I have a full scene, and I actually spent quite a while choosing the right one, and finally settled on this scene because it feels stylized and beautiful enough to match the fire's mood. What I did, I also adjusted the lighting to make it feel like night, adjusted skybox, choose some night skybox. And for me now it feels soft, calm and a little bit mysterious, something like this. Of course, you can use any environment you like. Anything that helps your fire feels alive in the scene will work. This is just a personal choice. I really like this environment, so I will be using this one. And for me, the fire looks much better, not just in gray scene, but in some environmental stuff. Alright, let's start building the shader itself. But before we dive into the nodes, I'll show you the result we are aiming for. And here is the version I did earlier just for testing. If I enable this heat distortion, we can see that air around the fire starts to shimmer and move. This is a very subtle detail, but it's really bring the whole scene into the life. And for instance, if I turn it off, we can see it's still working, but for me I like this version more, and this is what the heat distortion or refraction does. Now let's quickly break down how it works. This is shader I made just for testing purposes. It's not optimized, or it's not as tidy as I usually do, but it does what it does. So basically what we need, and the main idea is to use a scene color node. It grabs what the camera already sees behind our effects, and then we distort that image a little to create the illusion of moving heated air. And to do this, to control this distortion and to achieve this movement, we use screen position node, and it gives us coordinate of each pixel on the screen, similar to UVs but in screen space. So instead of sampling a texture of the model, we are sampling the image behind it and blending it slightly. And that's all the magic, just bending the road a little bit. Okay, so let's build this shader from scratch. We need create shader graph Europe Unlit. We need to give it a name. It's Distortion. Focus. Now let's dive into our shader. This is our output, this is our parameters and graph inspector and so on. We need the transparent, alpha, both. We don't need any shadows, and let it be. So basically what we need scene color node. This will take our scene, And now we can save it, and we can test it. So we can create a material from this shader, name it and put it in the folder with materials to keep things organized. And we can test it in two different ways, on quad and in particle. I like to test it in particle system, so we can create a new particle system, and we need looping one particle which is not going to fly anyway, only one, and we want to spawn on the very one place, and we want to assign this material, and for now we see nothing, and this is what we want actually to see, because I have some that fight. Okay. And actually this is something we want, because if we don't see anything, it means in this particular case it means it's working. So now if I grab a screen position, and this is this should work like our UVs, and basically if I add a noise texture to it just to test, sample it and add it to our UVs, very common procedure, and I can add noise amount parameter as multiplier from the beginning in order to control the influence of this noise. So basically now it should work as usual distortion, and we can check it. And this is our material, and we have some noise texture, and if I assign a texture here, it's still nothing. But if my noise influence is full, we can see something is definitely going on. But for these purposes we need noise amount not very small but not very big, and now we can see how the environment gets distorted. And basically this is it, this is the magic. All of other stuff we are going to do is standard shader manipulations. So for instance, we can add opacity mask to mask all of these hard edges. We can sample texture, name it as mask texture, saturate it just in case. I usually saturate all my alpha input to avoid errors. And now if I assigned a glow, we can see that this is disappeared, but if we move this quad, we see that there is something going on. It's not really optimized and optimal for now, because it's not a very big texture, but you can do another texture in Substance Designer or in any other software and it will work. So like this. I just realized that my picture is overlapping the material settings you can see here, so I moved it into the other corner and I hope it will do the trick. Let's continue. After adding opacity mask to mask our hard edges, we can work on the noises to get it moving. And the procedure is very standard. We need tiling and offset node, we need UV node. Usually I like to split UV and to make a vector 2 just to keep this clean and tidy. We can turn on use tiling and offset, and we don't need tiling parameter here, but we still want to control the speed. So this will be noise speed vector 2, and we need to multiply it by time. So it will be moving. We plug it into an offset, and we can group this node, group selection, and we can name it big noise. Spoiler, we are going to have two different noises. Okay, let's check what we have. This is our particle. We can isolate it and show only selected one. I'd like to make it bigger, and now I want to place it somewhere here to isolate the range where it's going to distort the air, because I want the air to be distorted only in the most hot areas. So now we can control speed. If we put a number into X, it will be moving horizontally. It's not what we want. We want to move it vertically, and we can here we can control the tiling. What now? It's working like this. We can increase the distortion amount. We can even try to put different masks. We can create another mask. So we can create another mask. This mask was and is a little bit soft. We can take shape paraboloid, and we can try this mask. This is actually too big. So I saved this paraboloid is glow 02 texture, and if we put it, we can see that the influence increased, and now we can have a smaller texture. But yeah, something like this. And what I want to do more is first of all, I want to add another noise, and I want to make this a little bit more tidy. So I want to categorize my parameters. This will be big noise, noise texture, noise amount, noise speed. And now I want to copy and paste it, and I want it to be a small noise, so I can duplicate all of these parameters, make a category and name it small noise, organize my parameters and rename them. This is not a fun process, but it's needed to keep things neat and tidy, and actually it really helps when you revisit your effects in a year or two, and you don't need to understand how it works, because it's already organized. It takes some time, of course. So now we can several options here. We can distort this noise by this noise, like we did in our fire shader. But also we can just we can add these two noises and we can multiply them. Let's try to add these noises and let's see what we will get. Add this noise to this noise, put it into the UVs, and let's see, show only select. Now we have only one noise, but if we assign here, we can see that we have second noise, and we can turn off this noise. Yes, and we can put a different speed, and they will be moving and overlapping like this. And actually, it's working fine. I like it. And yeah. You can also multiply the noise or make them to distort one noise by another. It's only you. Let me share a quick tip, something that's really useful when you're working with any screen-based effect. So, when you add the screen position node, it has different modes: row, center, tiled, pixel, and so on. And actually we want the mode to be row, not default. And this has other preview. Default is looking like normal UVs, row looking different, but we will manage it. Default version already gives you screen UVs, but it also applies some automatic adjustments depending on the camera and pipeline, and those can create unexpected shifts once you start distorting the image. It's not happening every time, but it could happen. So, to prevent this and to have the fully control of our data, and we want to have the full control of our data, sometimes we want black boxes, but I like to have the full control of my data. And in row mode I can get it, because row mode get the pure clip space coordinates, and by dividing them we can get stable screen UVs. So we need to split it, and we have here 4 channels. And in screen position X and Y, the pixels position on the screen, and this is the ones that we will use for our UVs. B or Z is the depth or distance from the camera, and B is the W or alpha, is the perspective factor, and dividing X and Y by W or R and G by alpha removes perspective distortion and keeps our UVs normalized. And the point is we are dealing with data, and RGBA, it's like it named in the shader graph, but it also could be named like X, Y, Z and W. It doesn't matter, this is just data, just vector 4. So what we want to do, we can assign them in R and G and just divide them by W, and we get the UV space. This is a small trick, but in some cases it becomes crucial. So basically that's it. We have now hit distortion working. If I delete my testing particle system, we can override apply all, and this will apply to all our prefabs. Now I only have one. Probably I want to put it a little bit down. Probably I need it less. Yeah, with this big texture Okay. This how it looks in game view. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and maybe inspired you to create something on your own. Don't forget to leave a like and write in the comment how I can get better. Your feedback really helps me grow. Thank you for attention again and have a nice evening.